as my mom would say, crap on the floor. What is it? Oh God, I heard the worst joke.
Because you hurt me.
Yeah. What? No. When you go down on an elderly, I told myself I wasn't going to ask. What does it smell like? So you know.
I don't know.
Depends.
Brand name.
I know, but you know, he liked it. I had it had to be explained to me. It had to be explained to me. I didn't know what depends meant. I thought it was just depends, but then I go, oh, that's really sick.
You know, stuff like that I've been ignoring. I mean, it's a great pain to ignore, and then you can bring it up.
I'm just sorry about that. Let me make sure they're framed in the thingy here. So, Miss
Sharon, is this good for me on that? Because it'll be good for him then. But use the handle.
Oh, the handle.
Up.
Is that good? I mean, not me, but the picture. All right. So just do the shorter version.
Shorter version. The
Thank you.
shorter version.
Shorter version.
Yes. The small people version. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome. But we do ask you to respect the mic. And the Sam and the Billy and the Betty and the Eddie. Respect the mic. Keep conversations to a whisper. Shh, psh, 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 psh. Like a good scrub jay. Psh, 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 psh. Put phones on mute or vibrate. Get up on the table and dance or vibrate. And do not distract the amplifiers or the speakers or the bass guitar or pass in front of them. Also keep to the time limit. Eternity, please keep to eternity. Usually 5 minutes, and that is a long time. For those of you who are lovers, that is a long time, but that can change. You might go for 6 minutes. Remember, we've 2 shows, the 7-ish, the 8-ish, and Horton, here's a who. So, I ask for generosity, but do you respond? Hell no, you never respond when I ask for generosity. Stingy, tight, by going short. It helps to get everyone on the mic. You know, angels on the head of a mic. If you want to be in the loop, going to Chicago. Sorry, but I can't take you. We've an opt-in email list, a Facebook page, a backside page, and we stream live. Thanks to the Natch.
Natch,
the
who was
Mr.
just here, we didn't give him a
Natural
round of
was
applause.
sitting here. That electronic genius. Remember the ongoing theme, never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world indeed. It's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead said that, not quite in that tone of voice. The evening's theme is, hey Dano, evening's theme is,
It is a mile or miles, whichever you want.
Miles or miles?
Yeah. Thank you.
Ba-bo-ba-doo-ba-dee-ba-doo-doo. So what? And next week's feature will be a double feature with shorts and longs. And no, what's the next? Who's next?
Jack Foley and Sangye
Jack
Land.
Foley and Sangye what?
Land.
Land. Sangye Land. As
No.
opposed to other things will land. Okay. And now as to the first show, the keynote will be...
Keynote is Owen Dunkel.
Owen Dunkel, he's our keynote, he's got the key. While our feature is...
Pablo Rosales, I don't think
Pablo Rosales is not here yet, but he will be.
He will be.
And he'll give the Queen's way.
Yeah.
As to the second show, half of you will leave. We will miss you, but...
That's for want of trying.
And this last word will be...
Buford Budgeon is the last word, entering and then kicking off the last half.
Buford will be the last word. He will start the second half, and he'll finish the show. The mini feature is...
The mighty and wonderful, renowned, and concise, more than I am, Britt Peter.
Who? It's Britt Peter! We have fabulous door prizes,
Fabulous
window
door
prizes,
prizes.
we have backdoor prizes, we have backdoor men, and here's one of them. He will tell you what we got.
Jack
Backdoor men.
Kerouac's The Dharma Bums.
That's
in case
one.
you're interested in that.
I'm
National
interested.
Poetry Competition, Winners Anthology 2018.
Ooh.
Mandela speeches from 1990, the intensify the struggle to abolish apartheid.
Hot
We're
stuff.
waiting for someone to do that with abolishing the Confederate flag in the United States.
Let's go.
Rattle, Le Place, a hipster manifesto written and illustrated by Clyde Always. Who is in the house? Where is he?
Clyde is in the house.
Huh?
Les's place.
Oh, Les's Place, sorry. You're the French. Les's Place.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
butchered the French too.
This is my collection of haiku, and it's by me, and it's also up here. Thanks, Rob. This is Hard Country by Sharon Dubiago. If you don't know her, this is a great book to get.
It's an absolutely great poet. I've worked with her.
Yes. And then Poetry International 2011.
A
And boy, does it
dictionary,
have
a
poems.
regular dictionary.
It's a regular, it's a
A
weighty
tome. It's a tome.
a weighty tome. And then there are the
Tome
cards.
to me.
If you want it at the end of the show,
At the
second
end.
show,
Yeah.
we do all these prizes, door prizes. You can
And
choose the theme or the prompt for
the
next
theme.
week. Be the mini feature,
Mini.
which of course is Brit tonight. Co-pilot, we have
Co-pilot,
two.
co-pilots.
You can be there.
They are directing the
Sing.
plane.
Good luck with that. The keynotes kicks off the evening and comes back to
You've
open.
heard.
And then the last word, they start and end the second half.
That was beautiful. Sorry.
That's beautiful. Yes, and
Keynote is
is Owen.
Owen.
You're looking. I thought you knew. You're looking at me.
I don't know. What do I know? Be advised.
I don't know about birth and no babies.
Although we record the evening, if an audience member sings off key or wishes to do so, please ask permission. Can I sing off key? No. We will assume you've done so. Sing on pitch. And we're done.
Thank you. Come
Yeah,
around. So who's first?
Hallelujah. I'm a bum.
Edward. Oh, Owen.
Owen.
Owen!
Thank you.
Owen.
Don't do this at home. We have practice.
Thank you. For my keynote today, I'm going to read a book from a book called Sturgeon Moon by a poet. He's a high school teacher. He lives out in he teaches at George Washington High School, and this is a book of poems that he. This is a villanelle called Dave Van Ronk was fond of Tullamore Dew for Christopher Watkins. To my delight, apparently it was true. The internet biographies inform me that Dave Van Ronk was fond of Tullamore Dew. Dave was a Brooklyn bluesman through and through, a folkie steeped in authenticity. To my delight, apparently it was true. I long relied on booze and music too, and now I learn somewhat belatedly that Dave Van Ronk was fond of Tullamore Dew. He'd hoist the jug after a song or two, wetty his whistle not infrequently. To my delight, apparently it was true. All the performers of the era knew his weathered voice owed something to the whiskey, that Dave Van Ronk was fond of Tullamore Dew. Since Dave embraced the same brand that I do, I hasten to applaud his loyalty. To my delight, apparently it was true, that Dave Van Ronk was fond of Tullamore Dew.
Who was the poet there?
Robert Levitt Smith.
And he works at the.
Oh, Robert.
He works up at George
Right.
Washington High School?
Yes, he
Well,
does.
yeah, he,
For about 19 or 20 years.
And that's his book, Sturgeon Moon.
right, that's
Okay,
his book.
okay.
Say the name again?
Robert Lavitt Smith.
Robert the Best.
And this is, poor Clary Hughes. He has a sense of humor, you know, he talks about his, late father and, the Reverend Igneous Rock. For Clary Hughes, for Chris Charles. William Hartnell's Doctor Who was a codger through and through, but his jaunts through space and time nearly always were sublime. 2. Bela Lugosi, why do you suppose he never hit it off with Boris Karloff? 3. Macabre Edgar Allan Poe was quite the drunkard, as we know, by turns aggressive, maudlin, and pathetic. Or maybe he was simply diabetic. 4. I'm most gratified, it's true, to learn about the Clary Who. Very soon I might be able to use the word when playing Scrabble. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Owen Douglas. All right. Edward, my cue to the microphone, please. Yes,
And Stephen Hendricks is next.
Stephen, oh, these are for this? Are those for- Okay, so make sure people put things up here. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mikey, my cue, as we like to call him.
We take our cue from Edward McHugh.
Give him his due.
I'm afraid of these guys.
So am I. I'm one of them.
Yeah. This is, the Oz narrative goes on. Oz is a nonsense. Zen is the moment of awareness. Tao is letting the moment go. Zen sees everything that is. Tao moves with everything that is. And you make your own Oz. No thought of looking back, further traveling, turning, then back, forward. Our road remains here, and I think the world of it. Here then, there remains. It's what I give my heart to. Ephemera accumulate. This is the story, what we are leaving. What we have been, what we were, what's left, nothing. This day's not yet nothing. The goose isn't cooked yet. Continues. The narrative is Oz. You make your own Oz. A buried world. The great river, plains, desert, red rock, red river, Gulf of Mexico. Deltas, bayous, hill country, conscribe an end and a beginning leading from these years to this journey back to 1961 to Dallas, blotched concrete spread out on the plains. We'd come to Texas 13 years before in a slope-back 40s Ford. I was 11 then. We passed through Erie, Kentucky, Delta states to arid, fissured land and bottom land and floods to dying apple trees. Then summer times and other times Dad took us with him one by one to get to know him and us on his travels through his Southwest territory. Dad talking brake linings for a Firestone subsidiary company that let him go not long before he died in a chaos of fear. He said pain, it was not like pain, but was pulling him apart. Rain, starting, caution, stop, signal, passing, being passed. My father seems beautiful. His geographical eyes a cage of ocean dreams who'll never dream again. So stubborn, gentle, singing anytime some snatch of songs he'll never sing again. Nostrils flaring, Lungs honking at the end, he couldn't hold it. His teeth only wanted air, air. His food came back. I hear him say, no, 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 not pain. I'm falling. It's tearing me apart. And no steel green painted rented tank of oxygen could help, since death will come when cancer eats the brain. It rained the day he died, and it rained again on burial day. Well, good luck. It's angels' tears, they say, the Irish say. The dog killed, cat run off, morphine soaking in the sand. Gigantic stones, snakes, apple trees, and his eyes in a buried world.
Owen Dunkel coming back.
on
The
deck.
keynote of the. Oh, what?
He's on deck.
Oh, he's on deck. Oh, thank you for that. Stephen, how are you? Do we have to say his name louder? Because I thought it was Owen Dunkel that's coming back here. Stephen Hendricks, correct? Yeah. All right, sorry about that. Give him a knife. Come on. There you go.
The fighter. My cousin and I sat at the kitchen table in our grandparents' mobile home. We were 12 and 10 and didn't care about our grandfather's stories, but that had never stopped him from telling them. He sat in his chair watching the boxing match on TV. No one famous because it wasn't pay-per-view, just two young kids with nothing to lose, exchanging blows because there was nothing else to do. Because they liked the way their opponent's soft flesh accepted their gloved hands. They liked the sound of leather connecting with the skin and the bone behind it. And people liked watching, got some sort of satisfaction out of seeing two barely grown men knock each other around. Until only one was left standing, or until they both valiantly made it to the end of the 12th round, proving themselves true warriors, even though only one would be declared a winner. I used to be a boxer, my grandfather said, and you could see the tinge of pride as the words came out of his mouth. You could see he had been transported back to some earlier day when he had the physical strength and the stamina to go toe-to-toe with any fool who would dare. I had this one fight with Rusty O'Dell. Boy, could he throw a punch, that dirty bastard. They don't make him like Rusty O'Dell anymore. I wonder whatever happened to that no-good SOB. Went the distance with him, and did we ever give it to each other? He was a lefty, hard to fight a lefty. He caught me a couple times square on the jaw, boy, and I gave him hell too. Those were the days. All you boys are too soft these days, not willing to throw a punch because you're too afraid to take one. I'm a girl, Grandpa, my cousin said. Hell, I'm not talking to you. I'm just saying you boys in general. No one wants to get in the ring anymore unless they're getting paid for it. We did it for a couple of beers. My cousin and I sat in silence, not really sure how to respond, feeling a little as though we had already failed at life because we weren't alive when it mattered. That son of a bitch was never a boxer, my grandmother yelled from the other room. I guess it's easier to just do white. Being of a post-assimilation Italian-American generation on my mother's side, I had very little connection to the culture, other than some foods I grew up with as a child: lupini, cannoli, pasta. My father's side was anybody's best guess, perhaps some German or Austrian, perhaps some English or Welsh, safer to just say white. They had been here longer and it was harder to tell where they originated from. So I decided to embrace my Italian-American identity, learn about the culture, the struggles people like my great-grandfather faced, speaking almost no English. I wrote a story about my grandparents, thinly veiling the characters with Italian-sounding names, and submitted it to Italian Americana, which had claimed to publish John Fonte. I would become the next great Italian-American writer. My manuscript was returned with a handwritten note across the top. Sorry, we only accept stories and poems by Italian-Americans.
back to the mic, Owen Dunko.
Oh, Dunko. Who's after him?
Brandon Baswile.
Brandon is next. Brandon, where are you?
Right here.
Are you new?
I am.
Oh, good. We're going to do a
For a surprise.
Yeah, we always do that. And I want to thank the people who have been generous with their time thus far. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And now Owen, who's coming back. The keynote always comes back.
He always comes back.
The generous.
So
I
you know,
don't know.
people say, how come he went twice?
A Clary who, a joy today to make the way, lasted, fasted, take and give. There is the way we go, do and don't, more I say. Blinders, a blind man walks away, arrows of fortune do say more than words. Chance meeting, take a weird stance. Life, a blast from the past, ran past nuance after nuance, can say more to nobody. History seemed to care from the good, seemed to scream. After Robert Duncan, Black Veil brings you in touch with the self and selfhood that is humanity. Cries fill the air as the lash comes down, bringing a gesture to heaven. A Clary hue of cliches. Say more to the novice of riches. Do more, do less. Alleviate stress. Do more to pain, strain, duress. Poema. 4 times the bells ring out and cast their spells upon the party and ports of wine and water, a spell of sorts. 2. Scatter among us the birds and bees of yesterday. Heard I heard of land and sea. Free and forbidden I cry to the sea. 3. Scatter these words asunder, we praise the skies. Thunder and storm we fill and feel. Down we go, head over heel. Grant Street, an allegorical exercise. Grant Street reckons, Grant Street beckons, Grant Street becomes. Grant Street is a silent howl. Grant Street bleats and repeats itself. Grant Street is as quiet as a lion. Grant Street leads and I follow. Grant Street cons and yawns. Grant Street goes to sleep and stays awake. Grant Street stays awake with the street lamps on. For the darkness. Darkness is mysterious. Allow the land around us to remain fallow. Gaze amazed, grace and sin. Your mind extols. Time to begin. On Muni Metro. Muni Metro in San Francisco is a labyrinth of tunnels and underground mysteries. From the J which goes through the Mission to the L and N which go out to the sea, to the K and M which go to the Ingleside. They remind one of a child's electric train running along the tracks. They run along, and some remind one of submarines emerging from the water after a deep dive. The seats are hard, and sometimes one has to ride backwards as the scenery goes by like a movie. Sometimes one is afraid of getting stuck on a delay, and I'm afraid of getting trapped in a tunnel, and I am relieved when West Portal appears after we go through the tunnel. Poema Pensée. Dylan Thomas was a beautiful boy, saith Jack Gilbert. At 8 o'clock, carry us along, O bright wind. Allow the voices to rescind their aces and spades. The accolade of last week, the drums gambade. On high, the med center slouches against the sky, a nightmare of mathematics, all of this. Henry James writes like an Aries, a true Martian at heart. Great men are awful things, Henry James. Pensée. Along the beach, a huge black crow spreads its wings to eternity. A poem. Karen, where I thee care for us, some declare the sea and sand. Altruists implore the sand to save. Do once more.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Okay,
Oh, it's not done. I'm sorry.
that's all right.
right, great.
Word doodlings. Horses in harness, none of it will cut the path of swallowing. Parts of a poem. Grant Street is swallowed by fog and cold. I feel the bite of God in the roar of tits with zits. Parts of a poem. The sun shines on Grant Avenue. Tits and doodlings become a sunny day, as if someone had drawn the line across the grain of sand. Other parts of a poem. Henry Miller dawdled and doodled at Big Sur and wrote of Europe and America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Brandon Baswile.
Brandon, who is new, ladies and gentlemen. Give it a clap tonight. Let's hear it.
Thank you all. Well, that's a very open welcome right there. Not only am I new to this open mic, but I'm also new to San Francisco as a whole. So just moved in from Oklahoma City. I apologize for the accent. I'm not from Texas. It's close.
Arkansas?
Oklahoma.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah, we're okay.
But they're different. So
They are.
After, when we have a time, there's some. I'll get you hooked up with the open mics that I know of.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic.
We'll do that
So,
later, but not now.
in any chance to bare my soul. So,
Yes.
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm a novelist, and then I write about drugs and drug use and my past and all this sort of dark, morbid type of stuff. And had to switch to poetry because I needed something a little bit stronger. So, this piece I'd like to read today is called "The Rider." I loved the boy in the playground. At 8 years old, it was fine to ride the unicorns. Around and around. His was white, mine brown. We'd play tag, though he always caught me in the end. We'd hug, hold hands, and pretend. We'd ride into battle, swords in hand, rescuing fair maidens through the land, though such things didn't interest us for long. At 12, we felt we belonged, not just to ourselves, but to each other, the other a brother or more, as we learned hobbies, games, and the sorts of things a mother can't teach their child. His favorite was chess, and he was the best. He beat everyone who tried to press their bishops past the 4th rank. And, like a pony, he'd whinny and whinny. As his knights would fork pieces, he neglected queens, preferring kings between royalty. At 16, he got his first car, a beat-up vanilla Mustang, bought with a jar of quarters and the promise to not go too far from home with girls in the back seat. He'd greet me with a smile. I'd ride shotgun as we'd drive mile after mile down freeways and toll roads, unknowingly. I counted pennies so he could cross the gate trolls, which he'd file as one of those jobs technology should rapidly dispose of. I was in love, and he knew it. He felt it too. But after you show me yours and I show you mine, he said it was time to look past it and pick out which girls to bring to prom. At 20, I said goodbye to Mom. I was in school and such a fool to not follow him into the army. I studied math and he went into the cavalry. We'd write and write, always in code. Don't ask, he begged. I promised I won't tell. This is why being in love isn't soaring, it's hell. It felt more like I fell and couldn't get back up. I remember the truck and the flag. I cried and cried. The body bag was never something I got to see. Only a gold star in a window greeted me. A riderless Cremello pulled the hearse to a funeral I wasn't allowed to attend. At 24, I ended my life. My strife found peace when my hero released me from pain without end. We laughed and laughed For years I awaited the chance to hold my Prince Charming again. I met him not as an adversary, but as a friend. It has been too long, I said. You always rode a pale horse.
Thank you.
Robert Rubino.
Robert Rubino? Oh, you are also new, right?
I am new.
He is also new, ladies and gentlemen. Come
Seagulls are all here tonight.
Thank you very much. This one is called A Septuagenarian Atheist Praise. Breathe in, hold breath. Breathe out, deepen breath. Deepen life. Melt ego. Find kindness, lose anger. Lick wounds. Count blessings. Jump for joy. Sit with sorrow. Foster hope. Stand for peace. Reach for empathy. Strive for civility. Laugh freely, free from sarcasm. Always forgiving, hale and hearty. Breathe out. Hold breath. Breathe in. Always forgiven. This is a bit of a change of pace. It's called Hallowed Be Thy Name. Our grifter, whose art of the fox-spun spiel, loaded with ego, overloaded with id, out of context, without conscience, whose aggrieved entitlement, whose flatulent fraudulence became our American tragedy, hallowed be thy name. Hateful is thy kingdom of racist, misogynist, xenophobic, homophobic, ranting, raving, trumped up anger here and everywhere on earth, where your knee-jerk anti-science, arrogant ignorance as public policy, shamefully mining misery and corruption, cruelty or credo, confining children in cages, you give us each day our daily dread of bullying, bravado bullshit, of denying or ignoring facts, of flaunting acts of mendacity high and low. Oh, forgive us, for in the future, near and far, you'll be reduced to trivia in every bar. Who's the populist who lost the popular vote? Who's the subject of Commander-in-Chief? Who's the only prez in Pro Wrestling's Hall of Fame? Lead us no more after 2020 and deliver us from your narcissism, your pathology. Go away, retreat, retire, go back under the rocks of unreality TV and steal estate deals from which you floated, bloated like a toxic beach ball, deceptively at first, but appearing harmless, even perversely playful, cartoonish, buffoonish, idiotic, patriotic, pompous ass. Your neck red with resentment, your clan white face, your gas flame blue eyes, and let's not forget your swept back, combed over orange yellow mane, as lame as your qualifications, such as they are, limited to masterful mimicking of il duce gesticulation manipulation. Well, we know how he ended up, strung up.
From a lamp.
Strung up upside down in a public plaza by those who'd once been swayed by his swagger. Or you probably don't know, since reading and history are beneath and beyond you and your demonizing, morally cracked compass, your compassion-clogged con, your junk fool mentality. May our American tragedy end. The sooner, the better. Amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Buford? Who's after Buford?
I have a question. Are you changing me from the first to the last?
Oh, you're the last. You start the second half and end it. So you're the Last word,
last
so yeah,
word.
so we go to the next person.
So, Bob Gordon.
Bob Gordon. This is a nice round as he comes up here. Get started.
Hello.
Just get really close now.
Jason Gouldston. Okay, my latest works are in my computer, but I ran out of ink. So these are the were done just before I ran out of ink. And I was sitting at home writing and thinking of a friend that I haven't been in touch with for a while, and I was thinking of him. And if you want to, you can change the pronoun him to her. The poems work just as well. Who gave himself to me that I might be his, that he may be me, himself as there is no other way to be self, but to give one's soul, one's life for all time there is. Whoops. Psalm side for dreams of love. Lay me down beside this love, and let me see your heaven from my soul. Let me be, let me see, let me, my Lord, see you there where you see me facing you, heart to lips. Let me feel, Lord, that kiss. Let me feel, Lord. This is called What is My Lover's Name? To die for. What is his love? To die for too. What is my lover's eyes? To cry for. For what are your eyes? But to cry for him, to live for me. They sort of follow each other, so you can also wait until I finish all of them. Dream to be mine. My dream is of your life, my love. Your life is this, I dream. You are then, but only love. From world love to dreams, a love affair with the city. Drunk as dry wine, all fetid out with guys I do, not to remember falling. In love with you, San Francisco. So am I really in love? You too? Trying this love. Challenge in a place to have, be gone too. I have said mutual as these shouts. I have yelled back, I am here. Look ultimate to know a known personal love. Yes, you are louder. Does the moon hear you? Is that a child's face there in the night sky? I feel not. Reciprocated by the elegance of your donations. Oh heart, breathe a cry. To feel, to sigh, just sleep. When I have outgrown all this interest, I will be soft paper in the breeze, in the wind, in the air. Chill, unmisted noonlight of a quiet Saturday noon. Of gone days, the curved corners, familiar known, avenues of sound on this late date, in mid-hour hence, the old yards and fences daily tread of roads recalled. Then when today is a real young sun, light of as if these years were, without eye, the lapse without the tears, activities gone by lake tides of time in a life's waves. Only the mind and the tepid touch here of morning air are here together. It seems the music chosen, my Beethoven violin, of distant time and booms and the beat of this music in light of a quiet Saturday noon.
Oh, is it you?
It is.
Oh, it's David Erdreich, for crying out loud.
Son's in the china shop, he's breaking all the laws. No milk of human kindness, no care for common cause. Refined enamel shattered, all sanity has fled. Small hands obsessed with phallus, this wooden peckerhead. He's got a little toady who is in charge of vice. This toady's mommy tells him what's naughty and what's nice. This toady has a penchant for sitting on the fence. He's not completely worthless. We'll just call him halfpence. And then there is McCollum. Obstruction is his game. Colored folks appall him. Laws not applied the same. Koch brothers his suppliers, industrial effluent. Privilege in politics, in that he is quite fluent. Paul Ryan had his time at bat, and so did Gingrich Newt. Flawed were these two idiots for whom no one could root. Republicans have lost their way, sick, slick, and full of tricks. Constitution down the drain, republic with no public. And this one is especially for Sacred Ground. Talking trash. Poets gather every Wednesday at Sacred Grounds. It's like examining the contents of a gnarly dumpster. Who knew garbage could hold such treasure? Drunks, tweakers, anti-Trump lunatics all have their say. Nicotine addicts, high school virgins, foreign diplomats all hold sway. And in the midst of this detritus to delight us, sift the regulars, rats of exceeding ingenuity, jackdaws pecking eyeballs, recalling pain from under fingernails, stray cats all feasting on human rot, retrieving errant balls of string, flecks of paper, and turning them into origami cranes. Homeless dogs who've lost their way, discovering mange can be cured with laughter. We are bats and flycatchers, snaring bugs above the lid, digesting dirt, then defecating pats of butter on a still warm, discarded baked potato. That's us. Reluctant wizard tips his hat. Outfall rainbows, rings, a cat. Interpolate, mundane, profane. Extrapolate, amaze, explain. An endless sparkle made of mirth. A monster of astounding girth. A surfeit stuffed with legerdemain. Orchard smells the fruited plain. In your palm, between your fingers, disappear, O magic bringer. Reappear, yes, wave your wand. Let's make a date beneath palm frond. 1,000 figures numbered null. Handkerchiefs from herd you call. A galaxy slips from your crease. Invisible, you're gone. You cease. Damn, Ray Bradbury zapped me again. The Enchanter? Why, it's a small, thin, clear glass vase that sits on the eastern windowsill to catch the morning. Sun and house and occasional rose. Lavender, deep red, orange flame, lemon yellow, white, fragrance etches the room around the edges, mellows the mood, festoons dreams with the ease of safety, unwinds the clock to a spring that never comes yet always flows. California says, I'm always on the edge, just above freezing, suspended in a redwood eye blink for over 1,000 mischievous mists, only to dissipate into the dry rot and dust of desert. Shift under a ledge of chert, single drop snowflake on a parchment of black glass, flint arrowhead waiting to chip. Was it only 2 winters ago, 900 feet elevation atop Cave Doyle Road, just north of Sonoma, April, I was trimming that wild almond tree when a small low-pressure system devolved from the north, spotted me, descended that slight mountain spine, and dropped gentle hail unlike any I had ever seen. Circumference the size of the head of a ballpoint pen. Each pellet was surrounded by a skirt of snowflake, the eternal crone, a marriage made Antarctic, death reflected in a crystal, like a small, thin, clear glass vase, clutching a rose in perpetual stasis. Thank you.
Benson, Brett
Brett
Benson.
Give him a round. You're a good man. I want to let you know the teacher is in the house. Pablo is here. Give him a wave. Pablo said, "Oh, you want to get it on?" All right, now back to Brett over there, crying out loud. I gotta stop saying that. Pete's yeah.
Perennialist in retrospect. I was at a friend's birthday. It was about 1:30 in the morning in college, and they were in the club. And I said, to hell with this. My tinnitus is acting up. Besides, I was tired of Britney Spears. So I walked out to the sidewalk in LA, and there, doing their good Christian deed, was a Christian group at 1:30 in the morning, ready to convert my heathen soul. And so I said, oh, you want to debate? Let's do this. I had about 4 or 5 beers, so I thought this would be fun. And then I realized that I was talking to someone who couldn't have been more than 16. So I went and said, where is your mother? She's right over here. Cool, let me talk to her. So she said, oh, you don't go to the church. And I said, well, I have this thing. It's a theory. Before, then life, and then after. It seems very trivial that the fates would have chosen for us one God or another. And they looked at me like I was going to burn. So I said, no, it's not a trivial thing. It just really is. We're just here. Somehow, we ended up born. They looked even more fierce. Morality exists all over the world. There's no way that societies around each place could have survived without it. I thought they were going to turn purple. Humans have every excuse to treat each other as inferior, and we've used religion very often more than not to kill one another. They weren't amused. So they brought in the big guns, some pastor who got certified somewhere that he was worthy of leading this charade. He came to me and started talking, and I said, you want to convert me? Here's my philosophy. From Kingdom of Heaven. Be without fear in the face of your enemies. Stand up and be brave, that the Lord may love thee. Speak the truth always, even if it leads to your death. Protect the helpless, and most importantly, do no wrong. He says, well, we'd like to pray for you. And I said, you don't need to pray for me. Pray for the kids in Africa who are dying tonight because they have no food. Pray for the person who's on the street, maybe too young because their parents kicked them out because they didn't have compassion. Pray for the person who hasn't found their soul. Pray for the person who is trying to make this day their last. I don't need your prayers. What I need you to do is live what you preach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I actually wrote one for once, because I always get shit for not doing that. So, because there's a lot of people here who like to write their stuff, so I actually wrote one. It's called The Price of Action in Ascension to a Higher Sense of Being. It costs nothing to be kind to others, to understand that all beings suffer to a degree, to accept your faults and change them if necessary, to take the past as lessons by living in a better present. It costs nothing to give a person a compliment, to pick up 3 pieces of trash on your way to a destination, to take a few deep breaths when one needs a reset moment, to write a positive affirmation for yourself or for someone you know who needs it today. It costs nothing for me to be a better version of myself, to be better than I was yesterday or the day before, to ascend upward with light as my guide. It costs me everything should I decide to embrace all things which previously tore me apart, limb by limb, heartache by heartache. I am allowing myself to return home, deep inside my best self, where I ascend to be better, to love others. Each day just a bit stronger, a little bit wiser, hopefully. Finally allowing myself to return home to my higher sense of being. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, our Dan with a plan, Brady.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put this thing here, so I'm going to use it. Oh, check me out, Sid. I get to sit down on my, as my friends used to call this, the rusty caducus. All right, so, okay, so I have a plan. All right, so for a heads up to the people who may not know, there is a monument in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Anybody know that monument?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so this poem has to do with that. And it's a great idea, someone else should do it. Attack on Stone Mountain. This is another Brady production number, complete with real live dance hall girls, hot Mediterranean moves, cold Caribbean drinks, backseat sex, street rumbles, chase scenes, split-second timing, daring escapes and escapades. This is the Attack action film of all time, replete with heroines and heroes venting vilifying vocabulary at xenophobic villains. Yes, this is the saga, the heroic exploits of geekdom, bringing you the thrill-packed adventure Attack on Stone Mountain. Yes, see the drones come in at night silently, each bearing explosives, landing on the faces and bodies of the infamous rebels all. Then, in a coordinated detonations, create cascading chaos as the deplorable images are sloughed off honest rock in minutes. See the high fives all accrue around, and an exciting breath of hope that centuries of horror have in some small measure been touched by justice. As to clues, the perps will leave papers clarifying their motive, quotations of Confederate leaders explicit in their descriptions of the South's raison d'etre, their spirit de corps, as it were, a copy of the Bill of Rights and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Can't you just see the backlash and brouhaha? Hear the cacophony of the culpable? Smell the circle jerk circus, hot dogs, and sweaty sideshow barkers of public clowns? Oh, the uproar. Oh, the humanity. See talking heads explode. The vapid, vacuous blonde commentators implode. And all the mumble mug fuckery TV blabbercators can muster as they heave their breast, puffing up their bombasticating bluster, and chanting crowds, and mob scenes, and riots, and more. But then the sound fades, as does the visual, and there's a moment of still, cool, dark quiet, which then opens onto a low flyover of a beautiful, hilly countryside at dawn. Then the cameras move up and away. We see a formation of drones zeroing in on a certain piece of heroic statuary relevant to the perpetrators of the lost cause, still posted in a town square on American soil. As the drones close in, a feminine voice clearly indicates there are 12 other statues of a similar cast being taken out even as the first detonations pulverize the marble. What a show! Did I tell you? You can see it, I'm sure. Did I tell you? Controversy, truth, controversial truth, truthful controversy, and vice versa. Each and every action-packed scene, when you get around to think about them, that is. I tell you, it's a great, action-packed, socially relevant film. Why? It'll box office well into the 9 figures. Probably cause a stir. You think?
Yeah.
And this is for David because he said he liked name calling. This has name calling in it. Mea culpa. These two are related, as I guess you'll see. This is an open letter prompted by my grief to the Confederate States of America and, to be brief, any Nazi or KKK sympathizer, and to Mr. Toupee in chief. Whenever y'all claim to speak for me, talking about race, appearing as you do in my image, you disfigure my face. When any y'all assert you know the nature of my kind, I am forced to take issues, for these days I now find I've been shamed and defamed, which I understand, mind. But because of you, I take ire and spam for the immutables that I am, which is to say an old white man who is, in a sense, discolored withal by your deplorable lights that others now see me by. I'm cast by your pall. However, I assert here and now that if you can speak for me, then I can certainly speak for you. Well, as if you were wise, see? And I begin by saying what you cannot, that is to say, I apologize. And I've made it easy. Here are some examples before your very eyes. Quote,
I apologize and resign, but I am the biggest loser ever. Donald Dumpster Mouth, Pussy Grabber in Chief, Trump. Quote, I apologize, but I'm a proud jerk and imbecile who can't even be clever. Mike, Old Rape Kit Pence. I apologize. We're going to confess everything and then go to jail. The Grand Dragon and runner-up for the George W. Bush Idiocracy crown. I'm sorry, I'll leave off politics, return money to the needy, and confess. Oral, the Quickie Slicky Dicky Roberts. Quote, I make oopsie, lack moral authority. Even my dick is corrupt. I too resign. Mitch, John Q. Dinbulb, a fly up his father's ass, McConnell. Mea culpa will no longer repress hope or make with the fake news. CNN, CNOT News, Flatulence Incorporated, Hellhole, Mississippi. Quote, we will make amends, restore all constitutional rights for everyone. The Supreme Court, minus Beer Boy, and Clarence, the original whoopsie cushion, old chump change himself, aka Long Dong Kong Thomas. Last but not least, we'll pursue those who spew hate or act on violent impulses, cease war operations, make amends for every CIA crime, restore democracy to the nations where we've destroyed it, and work to give everyone everywhere a chance for self-determination and ameliorate the effects of every genocide we or others have perpetrated throughout all history. The U.S. government, as it might be called, were to say such. Imagine all that and more. My friends, and from my soul, I must give voice to what they cannot say, and so act as a picket, impeding their advance, dampening their sway. By speaking for the babbling rabble, I condemn each public display of their misanthropic idiocy as they double down on the error of their way. While I know they suffer from their dismal haunts of self-damnation, it seems they'd rather not leave their fiery abyss of their own creation. But that's all the more reason I must respond and speak my mind. If there's no way to rescue those who'd harm me, my soul, or all humankind. Thank you.
Give him hell, Harry. Vincenzo. That's not really his name.
Vincenzo works.
Does it? Nah.
My Italian relatives call me Vincenzo.
Really?
Yes.
Good.
But never late for dinner. So
Never, yes.
Hello,
Tell me what
Sacred
you want.
Grounds. Vincent Calvary's Greg Pond, thank you very much for the theme. One great thing I look forward to these Wednesdays here at Sacred Grounds is I continue to write. They help me remember what is and what isn't. This is called The Telegraphed Miles. My eyes, my feet, the road, the miles, the chiming clock tower. Remembering the 2-mile walk with my youngest sibling to the train station, leaving the family home in search of adventure, looking for distraction, escaping tears away from darkness, the late morning sunshine rising, following us upon the sidewalk, leaving behind the miles of repetition and strip malls. Through a pitch black tunnel that was bored through my puberty, we arrived at Rockridge Station to catch the 51 bus, a mile ride almost exactly to Telegraph Avenue, amongst backpacks filled with dreams and textbooks, languages overheard from continents abroad, our taste buds enlivened with the aroma of Southeast Asia and the Iberian Peninsula. She got clear noodles with tofu from Asian Alley because she loved chicken so much more. I ordered poutine having the flavor of Thanksgiving in August, even though Quebec was thousands of miles to the north over the Jacques Cartier Bridge. My 4th grade oversized geography reference manual, the only one I ever kept without permission. Its cellophane atlas overlays with designated stars for capitals and lines within lines for the world's most elevated peaks, me now sitting with my fork at sea level. Later we eyed our first ever blue with white outlined arrowed symbol where our plates could be reused again and again, and within a few feet we were drawn in with the smell of sandalwood, incense, and velvet psychedelic blacklight posters. Crossing the threshold, smelling patchouli oil, hearing the trumpet of Miles Davis from every far corner, laser focused on my first ever pipe dream, envisioning my oversized beanbag chair, Friday nights and 33 1/3 vinyl spinning past midnight, entranced in a veil of Mendocino green smoke. Around the corner was a people's park, a grassy patch filled with the canvases of ocean blues and burnt sunsets, where I learned to walk a mile in their shoes, and many had none, where I heard prose being read aloud, and in my adolescence I could see a path. My youthful eyes heard there was a chance. My lined journal filled with all I could touch. A tarot card, the Fool, flipped over at a small table. She said new beginnings. Looking up and across, we were drawn to a stone clock tower, not more than a mile away, ambling towards it along a meandering walkway with spruce trees and blooming honeysuckle, benches filled in black, brown, and yellow, starkly different than home, but all with big smiles amid a backdrop of nasturtiums and curious honeybees. Reaching it and walking around it from shade to sunlight, sunlight to shade, warm stone to cool, wet grass to dry, droplets on my black Converse tennis shoes, holding my sister's hand, looking upward at the campanile, its miles of crisscrossing light stone leading up to a face on every side, sitting underneath its daylight shadows, its safety promised in minutes 4 times over, waiting for its chime, hoping it would last forever. And I would write about happy things if bad things stopped happening. This is called 3 Cloves of Garlic. And these are for the people of Gilroy. The members of the Allium family remained whole, its Gilroy roots still bonded together, hidden underneath the dry soil along the narrow highway. But the Romeros lost a 6-year-old standing 4 feet tall, a chubby-cheeked smile, and as an arid light breeze blew through the festive food court, a grandmother wept at what might have been, and a mother's grief spilling onto the sidewalk outside the hospital walls. It is an ancient bulbous vegetable, easy to grow and requires very little space, offset now from the darkened, expansive imagination of a 13-year-old dreamer, a baby's life now without an older sister, brushing her long black hair as mama peels back the flaky skins, mincing its flavor into Monday night's chicken dinner, now with one ingredient missing. And Poppy sits back, tears gathering, while football, like his mind, is televised miles away. Each will multiply in the ground, forming a new bulb of up to 10 cloves, as 60 separate rounds spilled out, maiming him lifeless, while his father holds his son's biology degree close to his heart, remembering his 25-year-old's love of humanity and studying life's interactions, but now not understanding its hate for one another. Love, like garlic, is eternal. It grows from individuals broken off from a whole. It tastes enticing, always blending like flavoring in recipes and between each other. It hugs us around our waists and in and about a searing oiled pan. Its aroma drifting throughout our lives, remembering those moments like the light scent on our fingers days later. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, wait a minute. Someone left this up here?
That, is this, can you hand that to Owen? All right. So we have this feature here. Can you get that? My time's up.
Can I get another glass of water?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll blabbercate for a while up here. Of course, then if I get bored, I'll start calling you names and stuff. All right. Pablo Rosales is our feature this evening. Huh?
There's a line.
Oh, well, just tell him what you want. He'll bring it to you. Jesus. Huh? All right. So let me begin with this. I was before I started going. Okay. Start again. Many years ago, I was involved with the open mic scene in San Francisco, but this was like in the 70s and the 75 and 76. In fact, in 1973, I was standing right here reading poems or 74, something like that, or 75, something. Never mind. So, and they used to have a little triangular stage here, and these backboard benches were in here and stuff like that. And then many years later, because of chaos, did I mention the chaos?
You just mentioned it.
Did I mention chaos? And because of all that, things, decisions, changes, I became a teacher, and then I became more sane, and I got married, and that was a very good choice. And because the person, you can't do the crazy things you normally do with someone who's there all the time, watching you. It's like, what are you can't throw things through the window, Dan. Because why? Because it's not your window. The landlord might not like that. In fact, that's the doorbell now. So about late 98, 99, somewhere along the line, I started going out to poetry open mics again, and I wanted to see what was out there. I'll try it again, do some reading. And I wound up coming here, and Johanna Wedgwood, who is the main picture in this set here, different pictures of her, she was the host at that time, and she had been hosting for like 15 or 18 years by then, and she did another 5 or 10 years after that. But the short of the long story, stop the clock. Anyway, to get to him. So one time I came in here, that was a long story, because he wanted to get his wine. And I came in here and I was the open mic and like this, and then someone said, and now Pablo Rosales. And the audience went, everybody got quiet. And I thought to myself, oh, I wonder who the hell is this? And it was him. And so he gets up here and he does this way, well, you'll hear in a minute, but just has a way of presenting the words, the images, the tone. There's a musicality in everything that he does. It's just so, I used to call him Mr. Smooth, and you'll see why in a minute, but it's just relaxing and quiet, and it draws you in. And I was fascinated by it, and I thought, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. And he used to be coming here a lot more often. That was way back when. But the point is, he is a wonderful, wonderful poet. Just incredible. And he's the only poet, well, one of the very few poets that I've written a poem about, sort of like mimicking his style, but I couldn't find it, so I couldn't bring it. Sorry about that. I was going to read it now, and they'd say, that's not how I read. But enough of me. Let's hear him. Pablo Rosales, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up here, I'm going to move this so he's centralized. One of the great San Francisco poets of all time. I just got to make sure the microphone is the way you like it, or the way I like it, or the way it can be like that. And you have that there, and you can put stuff here if you want to put stuff here, or like that. Just let me get this organized so it's perfect. You tell me, like, that's cool. And you just got to get, you know how to do the mics.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Hey, let's give it up for Dan Brady.
All right.
I'll get you a commission later. Quiet as this kept, I'm in love with Dan Brady's wife. Wendy, I wish she was here.
Oh, she couldn't make it.
She's such a wonderful woman.
Chaos, yes, she is. She said to say hello, though.
Is there some volume I can get on this thing?
What?
More volume?
Yeah, just a little bit. And yeah, I kind of cut my teeth here at Sacred Ground, so it's really kind of cool because this is where it all began, and I think that it's kind of might be coming to an end tonight, in the sense that.
Not the volume.
Yeah.
Raise it up an inch too. Raise the microphone up an inch.
Yeah.
All right, in the sense that I may not be
That's better.
doing this for very much
There you
longer.
go.
Anyway, I just, well, let me just get right into it here.
Yeah, don't do like what I did.
Yeah, they don't have too much talking. This is called Night on the Island. All night I have slept with you next to the sea on the island. Wild and sweet you were
between pleasure and sleep, between fire and water. Perhaps very late, our dreams joined at the top or at the bottom. Up above, like branches moved by a common wind. Down below, like red roots that touch. Perhaps your dream drifted from mine and through the dark sea, was seeking me as before when you did not exist. When upon sighting you, I sailed by your side and your eyes sought, what now? Bread, wine, love, and passion. I heap upon you because you were the cup that was waiting for the gifts of my life. I have slept with you all night long while the dark earth spins with the living and the dead. And upon waking suddenly in the midst of the shadow, my arms encircle your waist. Neither night nor sleep could separate us. I have slept with you, and upon waking, your mouth, come from your dream, gave me the taste of earth, of seawater, of seaweed, of the depths of your life. And I received your kiss, moistened by the dawn, as if it came to me from the sea that surrounds us. That was Neruda poem. So this is called Against the Forest Hill. If you search for me, I could be found. You alone know the whereabouts of my hideout. Same as before, same as yours, remember? We found it together, though separately, by pure coincidence, beneath the highway, above the shore, against a forest hill. Like little foxes in a den, there we were, all alone, you and I, telling secrets in seclusion, in shadow, in filtered light. Subduing laughter in false whispers, shushing one another, lest we be caught prematurely, hiding out for naught. Hey, I should have kissed you then, while chance was nigh before me. Felt you wanted one or more, but far naive was I for my own cleverness, or for my own good. Both of us unacquainted with the risk of rewards, or how to satisfy the palpitations of a quickened heart. For you were just a girl, and I was but a boy. A distant shout echoes and resounds, ollie ollie income free, and out from the womb we dart, coming home safe, sharing winning smiles of constellation tinged with drops of sadness. For a reminiscent moment, forever lingering, our clandestine encounter in timeless flashback, slipping the grasp of fate, living only as a memory now within our shadowy hideout, beneath the highway, above the shore, against a forest hill. This is a dreaming of Panama. Oh, beautiful Panamanian girl, may I visit with you? I like the way you move and speak, like a wing-footed woman child of Mercury, the voice of an angel. Ageless sun goddess drenched in the hot Panamanian sun, or forged in fire deep within the copper mines of Cerro Colorado for over 100 years before the canal and all the engineers. Rising up from your immersion with bright copper-toned skin, clean as a new centavo, to bless your peoples with your beauty, your province of Chiriquí, the peoples of Panama. May I walk with you, O beautiful Panamanian girl, beside you, stride for stride, or a half step from behind, unnoticeably, close enough to catch your breeze, the scent of your hair, dark, dense, and misty, like the mahogany forest of Darien, or the rain cloud forest of Phuket, where the rare quetzal birds fly freely in and out of the mist. I will walk just to watch you, to be guided by you, by your movements that glide you over hills and highlands, above and beyond Vulcan, Peru, and across the continental divide. Traveling together, unafraid along Camino Real trek, two drifters passing through cities and townships. Bella Vista, Punta Paitilla, Nombre de Dios, y Portobello, and look, the city of Panama. Until we reach our destinies in the Caribbean Sea. There we will lie and rest and breathe in the sky under the peaceable swaying of idyllic dancing palms that twist and bend to the rhythm of the sea. Upon pure white dunes of Bocas del Toro, our resting place, we seclude ourselves. Nosotros, a solas. Just the two of us. And there, will you sing for me, oh beautiful Panamanian woman? A sad but blissful song. Then laugh with me about the secret nature of clouds until you sigh and fall fast asleep in dreamscape as I watch over you, dreaming of Panama. This is summer fruit. Summer fruit, thank you. Hello, my sweet summer love. You become sweeter and sweeter with each passing day, like ripening summer fruit warmed by the sun. Sensuous, voluptuous, and so seductive. Oh, how I wish to bite you and taste your sweet pulp, juicy, hot, melting in my mouth, dripping down my chin. I must stop speaking this way until you are mine, until I pick you from the vine again and again and again, this never-ending summer. Ode to wine, day-colored wine, night-colored wine, wine with purple feet wine, or wine with topaz blood wine, starry child of earth wine, smooth as a golden sword, or soft as lascivious velvet wine, spiral seashelled and full of wonder wine, amorous, marine. Never has one goblet contained you, one man, one song. You are choral, gregarious. At the very least, you were meant to be shared. A jug of wine, and thou beside me in the wilderness. Thus sang the ancient poet, let the wine pitcher add to the kiss of love its own. My darling, suddenly the line of your hip becomes the brimming curve of the wine goblet. Your breast are the great clusters. Your nipples are the grapes. A gleam of spirit lights your hair, and your navel becomes the chaste seal stamped on the vessel of your belly. Your love, an inexhaustible cascade of wine light, illuminating my senses, the earthly splendor of life. I like it on the table when we are speaking, the glint of light from a bottle of intelligent wine. Drink it and remember, in every drop of gold, in every topaz glass, in every purple ladle, that autumn has labored to fill this vessel with wine. And in the ritual of his office, let the simple man remember to think of the soil and of his duty to propagate the canticle of the wine. This is Prettiest Rose. The prettiest rose I'd seen ever. A rose from your lips in late December. A white winter rose rising forever. Ever and ever toward the sun. But as if by fate came a chill out of nowhere, and it froze the rose into crystal and silver. Pretty blossom burst, scattered petals quivered as they floated and fell like snowflakes in the sun. The nearness of you. I enjoy your love letters, the words and photographs you send, your prettiness on display. I shall write back with poems each day, as if my sayings are a bouquet of long-stem red roses brought before your eyes to acclaim my adoring ways, freshly scented to powder your little nose, or pungent as aromatic reflections of our tress, or like deep dark chocolate, sweet and bitter too, to melt in your warm mouth and drip onto your soft tongue and gloss those tender lips that I long to kiss, or brought before you as a crescendo of stringed instruments orchestrated for my zealous soul to feel my rapture, to hear and to understand me in the music. As you listen intently to my voice and cry out to me with breathless sighs, knowing my desire for you is there, to touch you gently, to hold you firmly, to press hard into your raised body, angle for my descent towards your bosom so as to bury myself there and find solace, riches, the nearness of you. I'm just doing a lot of little poems here for the time. Thank you. This is called Sweet Beginnings. Here's to sweet beginnings. Do you know where this will lead? Will your colors change with the fall as autumn leaves start to bleed? I'll keep you warm in winter if you're with me here, still by then, like a blazing fire on chilly nights, till spring returns again, when crystal fountains kiss your lips, and blossoms cherry scent your hair, and summer sunbeams warm your skin, just like my touch. When you recall last winter. Listen.
And this is, okay, oh, 4 minutes left?
Yeah, just, you know.
All right, so with 4 minutes left, I had a few more. You know, I've been called a love poet, and I used to always be in denial because I write a lot of different kinds of poems, not just love poems. But then a poet laureate told me, you know, every poem is a love poem, or should be. And that changed my whole outlook, you know. I was like, yeah, I hear you. And so I kind of embraced it. You know, I even sent out something, the last love poet in San Francisco. But that was just because I do sometimes feel we're a dying breed. But if you put love in your poems, you can't lose. And like I said, I'm becoming more prophet than poet these days because of what things are going on. And, you know, I'm kind of really espousing the virtues of love over what we see today, hate. And they're both powerful, right? But I think love conquers hate. And in fact, you know, I'm really into the Bible these days with, you know, Jesus said, this is the way you know you're my disciples, if you have love among yourselves. And the commandment was to love God with your whole soul, and you love your neighbor as yourself. And so, you know, it involves sacrifice, but, and then some of the ones I look for, like John Lennon, all you need is love. Love is all you need. So you know, I kind of embrace that too. So I think what I'm gonna try to do is for my last poem, then I kind of gonna do a little experiment, if you don't mind. Okay. And you can put your hands together for this too, because I do a lot of, like he said, a lot of musical stuff. In fact, oh, let me say this. Got my little brown paper bag here, full of goodies, but this is called A Love Story. And this is a CD with poetry and music. This one is called, a little play on words, The Poet Tree of Life. And it's like a really picture of a tree and like the sun setting in there. So, but this is some local poets around here too. And then this last one, this one I did recently, is called If You Forget Me. So I'm gonna do a little piece. I kind of merged two artists that I really love, Neruda and Sade. So those are like my two biggest inspirations, and that's what I'm gonna do now. But to close it out, so what I said is gonna be experimental. And oh, first of all, give yourself a hand if you don't mind. And the people here at Sacred Grounds, this has been going on so long, and I just really appreciate that. Okay. So, yeah, this is it here. And so, I think, let me do a little test here to turn it on here. What I could do, because a lot of this, my poetry is on video too. They all have like videos that go along with it. So I'm gonna do a test here. Oh, it's working. What ain't working? What's up? Oh, I got the volume all the way down. That's it. All right, let's try that. Oh man, that ain't right either. All right, just give me 1 second here. I gotta connect Bluetooth, and then we're on. Oh, there it is. All right. So that, I'm really not a techie, but like I said, it's kind of experimental. And this is, you can be found this on YouTube under poet Pablo Rosales, Kiss of Life. There it is. All right. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start this out, and I'm gonna pass this around. And if you hold it like this, you can see the video, okay? And hopefully since it's Bluetooth, it'll still be in range. So I'll start with you. And if you just hit play on that, we'll get going. How's that? Yeah.
I want you to know one thing. You know how this is. If I look at the crystal moon or at the red branch of the low arm at my window, If I touch near the fire, the impalpable ash, or the wrinkled body of the law, everything carries me to you, as if everything that exists, aromas, light, metals, were like little boats that sail to those isles of yours that wait for me. Well now, if little by little you should stop loving me, I should stop loving you, little by little. If suddenly you forget me, do not look for me, for I shall already have forgotten you. If you think it long and bad, the wind of banners that pass in my life, and you decide to leave me at the shore of the heart where I have roots, well now, on that day, at that hour, I will lift up my arms and my roots will set out to sea, another land. But if each day, each hour, you feel you are destined for me, with implacable sweetness, if each day a flower climbs up to your lips that seek me, oh my love, oh my own, in me all that fire is repeated, in me nothing is extinguished or forgotten. My love is on your love, beloved, and as long as you live, it will be in your arms without you being mine. You saved me with a kiss of light.
Hey, thank you all very much. We were getting a little out of range there.
So are those for sale and stuff like that?
Yeah, they're like
So
$10.
He has his CD, DVDs.
$10, you know.
See the man right here. He's several of them. You're gonna take about a 6-minute break, 7, 6, 5, something.